John Lee, and I'm here with the David Randolph, which is also trademarked from what I understand. And he's got a very unique way of doing things with short sales. And David, I heard you had the ability, let's just start there. I heard you had the ability to potentially make $50,000 to $100,000 on a single property. Is that,
Yes,
it's
actually $50,000 to $150,000 profit. So if I rehab a house, then I generally make $150,000 profit on it. And if I wholesale it, don't do any rehab, but just sell it off, my average is about $80,000. So I call it 50 to 150,000. But it's a secret sauce is how do you buy those houses? And that's the method of short sales. That's just one way to buy houses. And that's how I've done it for 13 years.
That's just amazing. And a lot of us, they're used to wholesaling or maybe being in the landlord business, or a couple of the other strategies just don't really, I don't think, quite grasp the amount of money and what's really involved with that. Could you maybe just touch on short sales and explain it just a little bit to us on what you do to get that money?
Yeah, sure. Real quick, a lot of people think of short sale. You hear the definition of, the homeowner owes more than what the house is worth. And so it's underwater. And so now they can't sell the house and pay off their loan. That's the general concept to it. And that might be right in a certain sense. But I kind of turn things on its head a little bit and quote this statistic that technically a short sale is when the homeowner's missed one house payment. It doesn't have to be underwater for you to do a short sale. You would just have to have the homeowner to agree to that. And as you know, John, in this business, all real estate investors, it's always about, why would you sell such a nice house as this? It's about the homeowner's needs in life. It's not about the house itself. It's what's their problem, and what are they trying to deal with. And so a lot of times in a short sale, the homeowner just wants out. They've got divorce, health issues, a home's falling apart. And so they'll just hand it over to you. And so then in that case, you can negotiate with the bank to do a short sale if they missed one house payment. So real quickly, basically, that is you working directly with the homeowner. So John, these are not homes listed on the MLS with a realtor. The realtor's already kind of messed it up, okay, because they're not trained. They try to list it for the loan value, and it's like, no, don't do that. And so what I do is I work with the homeowner and negotiate directly with the bank. They authorize me to talk to the bank, and then I'm able to do a whole series of steps we could spend 2 hours talking about. But in essence, I negotiate with the bank for them to come out and they do an appraisal. They're 600-pound gorillas. They're the ones forcing me to pay $29,600 for a house that I sold for $275,000. They put that in writing. David, you have to pay that if you want to do the short sale. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. But they come out, do their appraisal, determine what they want, and then I agree to it. Okay, and so there's a lot of steps to it, but that's kind of what it is. The bank says that we don't need the full payoff. We'll take less, and we'll let the home sell in a normal transaction with the buyer and the seller, of which you are the buyer. I teach you to be the buyer. I teach you to be the seller, I teach you to be the buyer and the negotiator on the deal and stuff like that. So that's a quick rundown of kind of what the short sale is. You're negotiating directly with the bank.
That's just awesome. It's just phenomenal how you're able to do that with this process. And now you've done it for so long that and it's great that you can do that. What if I were a new investor, or even a seasoned investor, like we kind of talk about, that have a different strategy? Are you able to show someone like me the process that you use?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you're used to real estate, you're going to rent it out, you're going to rehab it. So you understand the concept that we're a housing provider in the industry. We're trying to get houses, make them either rentable or make them sellable for a family. So you understand that concept. So just learning then the steps that you do with the bank is all you have to do with the process. And it's easy. I mean, here's two things that are important to kind of show that. One, the banks are dumping the houses right now, literally dumping the houses. My last 5 students each made over $100,000 profit on their very first short sale. Okay, so yeah, other people can learn it. if you know, with a little bit of background in real estate, and the banks are getting rid of the houses right now because of the pandemic moratorium, CARES Act. There's 2 million, well, actually 1.8 million delinquent loans right now in America.
Wow. That seems like a lot of inventory. How do you go about finding the properties like this, David? I
Oh,
mean, is that a
that's
secret?
well, no, it's really, really super simple. I actually even have a video that shows you how to do that. And so I teach you to go to the county legal newspaper. So every foreclosure in the United States is required by law to post the legal description in a legal newspaper. So this isn't your, Sports Illustrated. It's not like a regular, this is the county legal newspaper where like government contracts, divorces, and foreclosures are posted. So I teach you to go to the internet version of that and get the name and address of that person and just do that old-fashioned thing, John, called mail them a letter. That
Mhm.
thing, just mail them a letter, John. That's all you have to do, and stuff. And so you go to that county legal newspaper and get them.
Mhm. Now this process I know we're in the Midwest region right here. Is this something that is only for our area, or is this something that could be done in other places as well? And can it be done virtually? You just had mentioned that it's done through like an internet newspaper. Could you maybe talk about that a little bit if others were able to do this from other areas?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, a short sale is federal. In other words, the rules are the same all across the United States. It's not state specific. What is state specific is basically whether you're a judicial state, which means that to foreclose, the bank's got to file a whole bunch of legal documents, or a non-judicial state like Missouri, Georgia, Texas. Non-judicial means that they just post in the legal newspaper for 21 days, 30 days, and then the bank takes the house. So there's two types. However, the process of doing the negotiation is identical. Only thing that changes with these two is your marketing letters. In Missouri, we've got to mail a letter every 3 days, right? It's 21 days and it's over. In a judicial state like Illinois, where it takes 3 months, 6 months, or a year, we don't mail a letter every 3 days. We mail a letter like every 3 weeks. So the only difference on across the United States is your marketing side of that. Now the virtual part, I'm going to be a little bold on that and say no virtual. Okay. Now I know that might upset a lot of the, I don't know, what do you call the people that are doing the virtual stuff? I'm kind of the old school a little bit. Okay. Know your farm area, research your area and stuff like that. You can do them, but there's two critical points in a short sale where you would have to have boots on the ground. Okay. So this kind of doesn't allow you to do completely virtual, because boots on the ground have to be there for these two parts. Okay. That one part is basically where you're going to be able to get pictures of the house to create a repair estimate. Okay. You got to get pictures of what's wrong. And so someone's got to physically be in that house. Okay. The second point in time is you have to meet the bank's appraiser at the house. Okay. I've lost 4 short sales in 13 years, and all of them were only because the homeowner let the appraiser in the house without me there. They knocked on the door and let somebody in. I'm like, are you crazy? Do you let a stranger knock and come in your house? Well, they said they were from the bank. And I'm like, oh, but so they walk in the kitchen and they walk back out and they say the home's worth $1 million. And then I can't stop that foreclosure. So basically you have to be at that house so that appraiser, sees all the bad stuff, right? Okay. Not the walk in and walk out and take the average and stuff. So virtually, yes, only if you can get some boots on the ground.
Okay, so you could potentially partner up with somebody, maybe if you're in a
Yeah.
different area, different part of the country, and you're looking at foreclosures maybe here in this area or some other area, you could partner up potentially and get that done. But I see the process. It's so it sounds like it's very critical to know the correct steps so you don't kind of screw it up, basically.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is it's about 300 steps. It's kind of like that Ocean's 11 movie, that Oriental guy dancing between the laser beams. If you know where the laser beams are, like I do, it's beautiful music and there's this like treasure in that little vault at the end. But it's very well regulated now. Back in when I started this in 2009 and 10, it was the wild cowboy days back then, as you recall, John. Okay, you're very experienced in this, and it was just crazy with foreclosures and banks taking homes. And it's much different today than it was then. It's very well regulated and it's very easy. Heck, back then, John, I used to have to get a single mother to be the buyer of my houses for me because the bank wouldn't let an LLC buy a foreclosure house, a short sale. But today they love us as a buyer, as an LLC, because they know we fix those houses up and then we turn around and sell them, on the MLS and get a new family into it. So they actually really like businesses now on short sales.
Well, and these also sound like a little bit better, maybe, and I don't want to say better, but just maybe a little bit, well, maybe better quality neighborhoods than some of them. Because I know some of them in the past, some of the neighborhoods were kind of tough areas, and these sound like they're pretty nice neighborhoods in nice areas. Would that be a fair statement?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm making $150,000 profit on a $275,000 house. These are nice houses. Okay. Now you could do the short sale on, let's call it $120,000 or sub, $100,000. You could if you chose to do that. But the problem with it is, here's the kind of the thing. Even if they give you the house for free, and you don't do any rehab, you're only going to make 100,000, right? So I like to do the house that is like 300,000. I can buy for 30 or 50,000. Okay, then I can make 150 because the ARV is higher. There's more profit potential. And another one I like to kind of warn people listening to this. This just kind of blows my mind. The banks are trying to dump the houses so bad right now, and nobody knows this, that my students I've told, do not do a short sale on a house that's $150,000 or lower, because the last two times we tried that, what happened is we can negotiate and we can get the bank down to like $18,000 or $25,000 because of the techniques that I've developed over 13 years. But here's what happened, John, in both those cases. The bank says, yeah, okay, we proved that appraisal's good. And so we're going to issue an approval for, 25,000, and one was 18,000. So we're waiting for this to come out. And then next thing we know, the bank filed a release of deed. Now, you probably know what a release of deed is. It means they gave the house to the homeowner. They released the mortgage. And we're like, oh my God. And so what happens? The homeowner, they ghost us, right? I'm like, wait, we were going to buy the house and save you from foreclosure and get you some money and everything. Well, no, they gave us, the bank gave us the house. Get out of here. And I'm not kidding. So we don't do short sales on homes less than 150,000 because the banks are dumping them so bad. And I'm like on the phone, why did you do that, Mr. Bank? And they're like, look, to collect the $18,000 and to go through the closing and the rest of that isn't worth the money for the bank. It's easier to issue one release of deed and be done. And I'm like, yeah, but I was going to make 100. Oops, I can't say that. So now we just avoid short sales on homes less than 150. Let's aim for 200 to 450,000. That's a sweet spot in there.
Yeah, and that is a good range of values too, because I know they're a little bit easier to sell, even with the interest rates going up. Some of the tougher ones I've seen anyway across the country, the people are having, taking longer to sell their properties are the ones that once you get over, say $500,000 to $1 million, right in that range, those are the ones that seem to sit on the market. What you're talking about here, this is really the sweet spot, like you said. This is the ones that typically, they're nice family, nice neighborhoods where nice families live with nice school districts and things like that. Now, as far as I did have another question too, as far as doing the rehabs. Now, do you only fix these up and resell them, or do you wholesale them, or do you, I've heard of people in the past like renting them back to the people that were there in foreclosure. And do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, just real quickly, absolutely never rent it back or sell it back. It is federal law. You go to jail and the homeowner goes to jail. So back
Oh,
in 2009, they passed these regulations. That's jail time stuff. It's not like you broke some rule. It's actual jail time. And so when the bank takes that loss, the homeowner, the previous borrower homeowner, can't get some kind of benefit later by being able to rent it back or to buy the house back. So absolutely don't tell the homeowner that they can do that. That will send you guys both to jail. And that's happened to people in the past. So first, just to kind of clear that. And then the rehab, yeah. So, my, short story is I rehab like 5 to 10 houses a year. And one of my claims to fame is all my renovated houses that I fixed up and sold on the MLS, under 265,000, they've actually all sold in 7 days or less at list price or higher. Okay. And so I am a rehabber. So I have that tendency to go, okay, I can make 150,000 if I rehab it, but if I do wholesale it, which is really very few, so I'll only wholesale when I have too many houses. I will not hold houses in inventory like they did back in 2008. That's where people lost it. They bought homes after home after home. They sat vacant, okay, to get to them, and then the market crashed. So I never do that. So I wholesale very few, but when I do, I'm making 80 grand, and someone else is making 50 or 60,000 on it. So basically I have that tendency to do that rehab. Now I'll tell you that, I had one of my cool house stories that we would tell is I bought a house 7756 Quebec Court in Garden Prairie for 270,000 and on a short sale, and sold it right away for 370. Did nothing to it. So I made 100,000. There was nothing needed in the house at all. The family moved right into it. So you can do short sales on pretty houses. They don't have to have anything on it. Now that was probably a little bit special because 100,000 is a lot. If I normally do that, I tell people I make 80,000. Okay, on that stuff. And so now that one was actually cool, John, because that was actually done in my Roth IRA. Okay, you can
nice.
do short sales in your IRAs. And that's really a cool thing too. That'd be a whole nother subject, but yeah, you make the most, but you can still make a lot on a completely pretty house that needs almost nothing if you know the negotiation techniques. Because remember, the banks are looking at many factors. One of them has to do this thing called fiat currency, but that's another discussion there. But there's two or three other factors the bank looks at besides the appraisal price.
Well, it sounds like you've had this, now that been doing this for a while, David, it sounds like you have this down to almost like a science, where it's a lot simpler than if you first look at the big picture, because it does seem kind of confusing. But I know the way you do it, you get right in there, and you're able to teach other people too how to do this. As far as if somebody, let's say that I was brand new and I wanted to learn this process. Okay, how would I go about doing this? Do you have anything that another way that I could get in contact with you or find out more about your process here?
Yeah, sure. That's real simple. Just go to my website, thedavidrandolph.com. You joked earlier about this is the David Randolph. Well, that came because the website for David Randolph was taken by somebody else. And I was heartbroken. And then somebody said to me, wait a minute, aren't you the David Randolph? Yeah, I'm the David. So I went to GoDaddy and I took out THE, thedavidrandolph.com. So they can go to my website, get more information. They can get a free video and slides about where to find these short sales out, more case studies and more information. They could text the word short to me if they want to, at 636-685-2990, and I can also send them the video that way. But my website's got a lot of good information. I love teaching people. I love seeing Other people make, sometimes more money than me. Okay. And it's like, cool. I like that. You like to give back to people. Okay. And help everyone else change their life in real estate. John, you've been in real estate for a long time. You don't work for a corporation. We're entrepreneurs. You and I are. Okay. And real estate's that vehicle. And there's many ways inside of real estate. You have your own specialty that you're the best at, right? And then, and so there's many choices in there. And short sales is just one of those, tools in your belt to buy houses really cheaply.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. And we will put the contact information down in the comments. And I know you're a big contributor and very, very popular on our Friday networking event. As you know, we're in our 4th year now networking every Friday, and it is just a bunch of entrepreneurs. And there's a lot of people in a lot of beginners. There's a lot of intermediate people, and then of course there's some advanced people like yourself here that really like to share the information with others. And it's a very safe place too, where people can come and I don't want to say ask dumb questions, but just ask questions they don't know, because all the questions, they're not really dumb questions. They're just stuff we don't know yet. And people like yourself are very, very helpful as far as helping other people. And as you know, we do have a lot of veterans, people that's been around for a long time that have some of the similar questions that might seem simple. So, and we do appreciate that. I'll also put that link down in the comments here. But would you like to before we wrap it up here, would you like to mention your contact information one more time, your website, and the text line, the text hotline? I guess I'll say.
Yeah, there you go. And you can even text me short sale questions on it. I love talking to people about short sales. Call me up and say, "Oh my gosh, I got this neighbor who's in trouble. My sister's in trouble on their house, but they owe to, call me up and I can, I got ways to stop the banks. John, this is really cool. I know we're out of time, but just last week, someone posted on Facebook, a homeowner that the VA loan, the veterans loan, they're losing the home in 2 days to the bank. And I was able to help the homeowner via a 10-minute phone call and a few text messages to stop the bank from foreclosing in less than 2 days. And they saved their house. And right now they're working on a loan modification. So yeah, I mean that, the group, that Friday group at 11 a.m. Central Time is fun. Different people are in that from different facets. You got hard money lenders, you got wholesalers, rehabbers, contractors. It's a great group on every single Friday at 11 o'clock Central Time. But yeah, and so I'm on there. You can reach me though anytime at the David Randolph, RANDOLPHTHE, davidrandolph.com, or text me at 636-685-2990. And be glad to talk to you about short sales.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate your time today. This is very helpful, and I know we'll have a lot of interest. And please do join us on Fridays. You could talk live with David, thedavidrandolph.com. So thank you very much, and we'll see you Friday if nothing else.
I appreciate you, John. Thank you for what you do.
All right, thanks.